nothing is forever, and we have to welcome changes, because the changes is just taking us further into life. And if we have this, I would say, the curiosity also of tapping into new areas of our lives, and it's what motivates us to take action.
So Michela Fantinel is with me today from Italy, which is beautiful. I'm calling her from Colorado, but Italy. Oh, che bella. But she is with me today to talk about how the multiple turns in her life and the different chapters she's gone through has really helped her find her inner strength, her clarity. And I love how she's going to share as she's meandered along this path, how these different moments of self-clarity really helped propel her forward. So let's get to the real stuff. So Michaela, is a transformative life coach, helping women over 50 redesign their lives by unlocking their inner powers, reconnecting with their values, which I think that's not a lot of people talk about that. So I like that too. And so that they can reconnect and really play full out and embrace their change and master transition skillfully and live the life that they want. So is it buonasera? Because I think it's evening, correct?
Yes, buonasera. Hello, buonasera. Nice to see you.
Michela.
Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for being with me today. So Michela is going to talk in a moment about her coaching program and blog. She's got wonderful resources for us gals over 50, which is why it's called Magic 50. And so throughout the discussion today, I'll share her website, magic50.com, ways to find her on Facebook, and find Michaela. But first, I want to dive in a little bit more so you understand her story and how she got to this lovely place in Italy. So welcome, Michaela. Tell me a little bit about your career transition. I know we're gonna start probably in your 20s and then kind of go through how the path just meandered for you, and then we'll take a deeper dive into what those little turns meant and how you dealt with them.
Yes, thank you, Wendy, very much for the invite, and thank you for having me tonight here with you. And yes, my life has been very interesting so far. And if I go back to my 20s, one thing that moved me to take action was my love for languages. This was a very big love that I had, and a passion. And from the age of 19, I started moving around Europe. So I spent years in Vienna, in London, mainly learning languages, because I was in love with German, I was in love with English, and I wanted to learn the language properly, not really just a few words like you learn at school. So I spent a few years around Europe, and not only learning English in London, also doing management and marketing and other skills. Then eventually I moved back to Italy and I started working. I was in my mid-20s and I started with my first job in a company, but I wasn't happy, like many young women. So what I noticed at that time was that I wasn't offered, to have, to grow. I wasn't offering to grow within the company, and I was, stuck. I felt so stuck. So while I was searching for something different, I realized that I couldn't stay in Italy as a young woman. I needed to move out of Italy, probably because of the cultural background, or I don't know what, but I thought I didn't feel well in Italy. So I moved to Germany. Germany, obviously, because I knew I speak German very well. I moved to Germany and to Munich. See, I fell in love after London. I fell to make up my mind and decide to move and stay there for a while. I didn't want it to stay long, a couple of years, and I ended up with 12 years of my life. So it was really, really one of the best things I've ever done in my life. Moving as a young woman, I was my late 20s, and starting, working in a different country, which wasn't mine, different mentality, and a completely different world opened up in front of me, because I could change jobs every 2-3 years and learning so much. And this is what I wanted to do, because for me, the main point in any jobs, in any work, is learning something, learning new skills, not just, for the sake of it, for earning money or whatever.
Right.
So for me, it was the most wonderful experience that I was so pleased I did that, because it wasn't easy to take this decision to move abroad. Also because, Italians are family-minded people. They want to have their children at home or very close to. So I took this decision and I went and I spent 12 years there. But as much as I was happy with my life, I came around my late 30s when I felt something was missing or something was not right. Probably because from 30 to late 30s, I went through many, many challenges. My father died when I was 30, and then there were so many changes in my life, personal as well. So I came to 39 where I said, what next? And I didn't have the answer. So I said, okay, I said to myself, I really need a time off, a time where I can really concentrate and focus on myself. But I didn't know how. But because I love travel so much, I said to myself, I really have to take time and take a time off and go to a place that I really love to explore and to discover. And this place was Australia. So I left the job I had in Germany. And at that time, I also took a decision that I wanted to move away from Germany. And this was 2004. So what I did, I spent a bit more of 2 months in Australia, traveling around with my backpack. So it was my my first solo trip, and long term, because it was over 2 months. And I left at home all my technical devices, didn't have anything, just myself. So I really wanted to unwind and cut off from technology and everything. And this trip was really, it lighted me up, and it was really, I don't know, something happened in these 2 months, because while I was just traveling and I wasn't working, I wasn't doing anything, I was just traveling and exploring places, meeting people, I was completely focused on myself. So I was completely aligned with what I felt. And there was so much intuition coming into my life, so much insights. And I was just, grabbing them and just taking notes and just recording them. So over the 2 months, I had a really wonderful experience, and so much clarity came out of these 2 months. So I knew that I was going to move back to Italy for a while, and also probably starting working there or doing something or moving away from Italy again. So it was a question mark, but that was not important. I knew that I was on the right path. I felt that I was in peace with myself, and this clarity had set in. So no matter what, I was not, as you say, before going to Australia, I was very much restless with, what I'm going to do. I don't know where to. I wanted to go to Spain, actually, because for work, I used to go to Spain, and I wanted to move to Spain, to Barcelona. But when I came back from Australia, it was not the matter where, Barcelona or staying in Italy. I knew that I was on the right path, and that, so to say, I had like this intuition that whatever was going to happen was the right thing. So it's not a matter of exactly what I'm going to do, but feeling that you are on the right path and feeling that you are, so to say, aligned, or I don't know how to, like that there is, that you have this belief, everything what is going to happen is the right thing. And what happened is that I had the job offer in Italy, and I accepted. And it was really something that I really embraced, because I really wanted to do something like this. And was working for a big company in Italy in the food industry, in the coffee industry. And that was really something that gave me what do you say, like a boost. I could use my skills that I gained in Germany and couple with something else that I learned in the company. So it was really something that I enjoyed. But later on, 4 years later, then I decided to go to Australia again, because I had the feeling that I wanted to a different change. There was something else within myself that said, "Oh, now you are ready to make a bigger step," but I didn't know what. So Australia, I consider Australia to be inspiration. And solo travel has always been a big source of inspiration, of intuition in all my undertakings. So I knew that by going back to Australia, I would have had more ideas. So when I came back, I started working for myself. That was the decision. And I started small with like business consultant. But I didn't like it. I found out, oh no, I don't like it. That's not for me. So in Australia, I had this idea of starting up a blog.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I don't want to have my experience, my travel experience, solo travel experience ending with a trip, with a journey. And I want to keep it alive. So I said, oh, the blog is the perfect way. So at the beginning, it was just a personal blog, and then slowly that business. So I said for women traveling alone to Australia only. Later on, I added also Italy to the destinations. And this is what I've been mostly doing for the past 10 years. So from 2010 and 2020, I've been doing mostly concentrating and focusing on my solo travel website and working with many different operators, also tourist boards, and also the customers like clients having my services, buying the book, and things like that. So this is in short what happened until 2020. Then we all know what happened with COVID. The pandemic was here, and my life was completely upside down with so many people had the same. So professionally, I would say mostly, because from the personal point of view, I was really handling it in a good way. So I wasn't so much affected. But from the professional and working environment, having a travel website, it was devastating. Yes. So I didn't really think too much about it, because the first feeling that I had when we had the big outbreak in Italy in March 2020, I don't know why, because usually I'm a very positive person. I never think negatively, but I said to myself, this is not gonna last a couple of months. And I don't know why I had this insight, but I just followed myself, my intuition. I said, I have to invest my time now that we are in lockdown and grow, invest in myself. And what I did, I signed up for personal growth, personal development courses. So I did quite a few. And by doing this process it was an amazing experience, because I learned so much about myself, things that I really noticed many years before, and that what we do, we just ignore them and say, oh yes, I will to improve and also to learn more about myself. So through this process, I came to coaching and to this coaching training. And this coaching training was something that I did with a bit of a question mark. Will it be something for myself? And by doing it, by following it through, it was a few months training program. I really understood that this is what I wanted to do. And this is where I want to focus my energy in the future, even though I still love my rocket travel, my website, but probably I will be doing it if travel will be resumed fully. I will be also keeping it up like anything else. But I want to focus my energy, yes, on this other part, on the self-growth and on helping women developing further and moving forward in life.
Awesome. Well, I love, first of all, you know enough about me that I'm a traveler as well, and I've not been to Australia, but that is definitely on my list. So I love the fact that you're sharing your insights on solo travel, because I think not enough women, even by this stage in our life, in their 50s, a lot of women have not taken that solo trip. So what's one thing you can say to help somebody who might be on the fence, like, oh, I don't know if I should do that or not. So what can you give them a little vote of confidence or a little push to say, it is so worth it, that solo trip?
I agree with you when you say, Wendy, that so many women have a Facebook group for solo women for over 50. And the majority of them, when they join, they have to, to answer 3 questions. They say, oh, really would love to travel by myself. But I feel I'm not going to enjoy it. I will be lonely. I'll be coming home after a few days. It's, and in the end, they don't do it, or the majority, they try to find either a friend or someone to travel with, or they join a group. Right. But joining a group is not solo travel, because in a group, you are in a group. Even if you live home alone, doesn't mean that you are traveling solo if you are in a group. Right. So I've been trying to understand what is pushing away, women that that really would like to try solo travel out. And there are different factors and variables, but there is one commonality, and it is fear of, I would say the fear of, maybe fear is also perceived in a different way. For some women is maybe fear of feeling lonely, but the majority, I think, they feel that it's not really high quality travel. It's not, it's like, it's not first choice. You know what I mean? And for me, it's first choice.
Yes. I know, because when you go by yourself, you go the times you want to go, the places you want to go, you can, and it's a nice, selfish, in a really good way to recharge your batteries without going, okay, no, I don't really want to go to the market today. I want to go to this museum instead. But and you don't get that same time to reflect and just kind of really reset when you're with another person or in a group. And I think you're right. I think it's fear. And maybe it's even the fear of the unknown.
Yes. For some women is a fear of unknown. Maybe they also say, oh, am I going to the right place? Is it safe? Right. But, nowadays it's, even if you start small, you obviously don't choose a small place of Africa, right. Very isolated, right. You would start with something, because you have to go through a process. Because even for myself, when I first went to Australia, I didn't do weird things, like traveling by car in the outback by myself. I wouldn't suggest something like this if you're not an expert. Right. So you have to start small, and if you want to try it out, you start with something maybe local travel. Mm-hmm. You just go to another state, and you say, or you build a solo trip around a passion. Like, for instance, you love hiking or whatever, or surfing, and you just build your solo travel around a passion that you have, and then it's easier to not to feel alone, because you're obviously so much distracted by what you're doing. Because if you're attending a show or an exhibition, or you are interested in arts and you're going to see an exhibition, whatever, or event, easy to find, but you have to have this motivation growing inside you. It's very difficult that someone else can convince you to go alone. And because many women say, oh, I'm not going to enjoy it that much, it would be better if a friend would come along, So you are always hoping that someone else will come along your way and ask you, okay, I'm coming with you. But if you just see many options, you're not going to do it. So solo travel, you have to see only one option. That's it. That trip, I'm going to do it by myself, and I want to test it out. And then obviously you don't have to travel alone all your time. You can just do 25% or 30% of your time. So it doesn't mean that you have to travel 100% of your time solo. You can combine with different kinds. But trying it out is really fundamental. And you have to give it a try and see, and not have too many expectations. And even if you say, I had quite a few of women saying, oh, but what happens if I feel alone and lonely? And then I feel, oh my gosh, I don't want to stay. But I said to them, look, feeling lonely, it's something that you feel lonely at home too. When you come back from work and you say, oh, I'm alone at home and I feel lonely. So what do? You just go for a walk, or you just ring up a friend or whatever. You say, go for shopping, or so you do something. So you do exactly the same when you're traveling. So all these moments, they set in, and maybe it's just for 5 minutes or for half an hour or the whole day. So this situation, they all come into your life anyhow. So
yeah. But I think the other piece that you mentioned is so important, which is unplugging the devices, because as women, we're so good at taking care of everybody else, right? And it's important to get away from the social media, get away from all that stuff so you can experience the moment. And actually, like you said, once you did this in Australia and all these insights kept coming in and all this clarity came, I think too many times people are blocking that because they're so busy with their devices, or they spend a minute at the place alone and they're like, oh, I better check my Facebook. No. Put those devices away and just be. And I think that's a critical piece that hopefully more women, again, will take advantage of after hearing your story as well.
Yes, I try to do this as much as I can as well. After having set up Rocket Travel and developed the website, when I was in Australia, I had to use all my devices. But I was making sure that once the shooting was finished, or shooting a video, whatever, or making photographs for a blog post or for a company, then I had my time where I didn't check. I'm really, probably because we belong, I don't know why, but I'm really good with that, because I have also friends in my age and they're always, scrolling there. And they live with, it's like an extension of their body, I say. They have this iPhone next to them.
Yeah.
And they sleep with it as well. So I cannot have this, because first of all, I got caught up in this very shortly, and I noticed that I had like brain fog, because the technology is technology. So these waves, they are just reaching your brain and everything. So you should avoid this at least 10 hours a day. From, let's say, if you go to bed at 10, switching it off 1 hour before, and then switching it on again in the morning. But there are people, they keep all the devices close to their bed.
I know. It's so not good. I know. And that's part of, like, with the group that I have, Inspiring Your Next, where everybody's going after something, whether it's a new creative activity or an adventure or travel, whatever experience. One of the tenets of that is live in the moment. You can tell us about it later, right? Don't go on social media and post right away. So I think that's a critical piece, because I love when you talk about the clarity you kept finding when you shut those other distractions off, and put them away, and how then you acted on it. Because that's the other piece, is when all these ideas and insights come to you, then you took another critical step, which was acting on it. Because sometimes people go, oh, that's wonderful, and I'd really love to do that, and I'd love to do this or this or this. So what was it for you that said, I know this is the path? Like you had mentioned just a moment ago, you didn't know what it was, because I experienced something very similar. I didn't know exactly where the path would lead, but I had faith that I was on the right path because I was in tune with everything. So what do you think it was for you that made you go, yeah, this is okay, I can keep going?
Well, first of all, I would say feeling completely balanced, and feeling, when you don't know what's happening, or if there is something that bothers you, but you cannot really, it doesn't really manifest. You don't know exactly what it is. You don't feel focused, or there is always like an underlying other feeling that you cannot see what it is. So whenever you feel there are no filters, and the picture is like, no blur. So you feel that inside you. And then when you have this clear picture inside you, then it doesn't matter if I go this way, this way, this way. I just feel the energy leads you in the right direction. And this is very important in anything what you do, small steps, big steps. If you feel there is something not really completely, like when you put the focus on something, you say, oh no, it's not really complete. There is something that I have to tweak. And so you have to work on that. And mostly is working on your feelings and trying to find out what it is. And really not judging without judging what's happening. And sometimes maybe you say, oh, I know that I want to go in that direction, but maybe you're going slightly in a different direction, but it doesn't matter. So don't be too attached to what you think or to the direction that you think you are going, because your mechanism, I call it the mechanism, is, it's like it's putting you, it's working on the course, and it's, on the course of direction. So it's just, you have to trust your body, your mind, and your mechanism, because when you have the right input, then it is steering you into the right direction. So it's really a fine tuning, and listening to your feelings is very, very important. And not being ashamed, or not feeling ashamed, or okay, I have fear of this, I feel that I still haven't I'm not clear about this. You have to be prepared to dig a bit deeper and find out what is coming to the surface. Yes.
Yeah.
And with no attachment.
Right. And like you said, and no judging of it. Living more curiously and openly. I agree. I think that's huge as well, because we grow up with these certain ideas in our head, and sometimes we're standing on our own foot and in our own way. And so when you actually, again, remove the labels and remove the judgment and just focus on that feeling, and again, being more in tune, that path will keep opening up in the correct direction for you. And so that actually is a perfect segue, because it led you through your own experiences. First, you were navigating all this on your own. And then you decided, in the last year with COVID, you learned a lot more. And when you focused on your personal growth, and that led you to create Magic 50. So talk a little bit more about what you're doing then to take what you've learned and how you're helping other women.
Yes, Magic 50. Well, the name magic, because also I believe that 50 is the best part of our lives. You have all the baggage behind you, and all the skills that you have gained, and all the knowledge, and you feel more confident, more, how do you say, mature, more ready for really going in the direction that you want to go. But there is also something that I would say, there were some new things that came up, that surfaced with me, that I wouldn't even expect it. For instance, changing completely, going from traveling to a completely different thing. But I believe that this came because it was always inside me, but it was like buried. So sooner or later, your really second nature is coming to surface. So you cannot avoid that. And even though you were enjoying what you were doing before, it doesn't really matter. Life is a continuous changing, is evolving. And this process of embracing this process of development is the best part. So if we just stick to something, we say, oh no, we cling to something, so this has to be forever, nothing is forever. And we have to welcome changes, because the changes is just taking us further into life. And if we have this, I would say, the curiosity also of tapping into new areas of our lives, and it's what motivates us to take action. So Magic 50 came with the idea of helping other women, facilitating this process for women that probably feel stuck, or they don't feel like they have the energy to do it or to change in it, or they feel oh, they have come to 50 and now what next? And they feel at a bit of the at loss, or maybe they don't feel so focused, or they don't have the energy to step forward. But there are very easy ways to doing it. And coaching is one of them, really one of the best to make it happen. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And I love, so you've got a blog, not only on your travel experiences and encouraging solo travel, but also on this personal growth journey. And then you're developing, I know, additional resources like webinars and things to help gals, again, clear through the clutter and figure out which direction they want to go in. So would they contact you at magic50.com? Or I know you also have a Facebook group that they could hop in on.
I have a Facebook page, which is the same name, Magic 50.
Okay.
And within this page, they can find the address of the group, which is called Magic 50. I offer, yes, free webinars. And also I'm working on the group coaching program. So to say, instead of having individual coaching programs, which is one-to-one, we are in a small group of maybe 10, 20 women. And that's nicer because they build a synergy and they learn from other experiences, and they are more, I would say that they more encouraged to, to moving forward, to creating their own life and building up on a new, on new stages. So it's really, really interesting. So my webinars and my coaching programs, they will be focused on a few things where I felt and where I've noticed that women in our age, they need more support, which is energy, and energy in all dimensions, like physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So how to manage and master energy, which is one of the most important part, and self-care as well. And then the life reinvention. So what next? So how do I reinvent my life? Most of it is professionally. So, and even for women who are retiring, because some women who are retiring, they don't really want to stay at home and do nothing.
Right.
They want to be really involved with new projects, and they just have to channel their energy and find where am I going, what I'm doing. So mostly with these experiences. Yes.
Nice. Well, and I know that I typically end, as we start to wind down, I know we typically talk about one experience that you would recommend, and I know that's your solo travel. So I'm going to then ask you instead, because I feel like we covered that pretty well, and you've made a really compelling argument. Hopefully everyone who listens is going to take their solo trip this year, not wait 5 years, right? But so then what are you working on as part of your next? Like what's on the horizon for Michaela?
My next, so besides working on the coaching programs, which will be webinars and live Zoom calls on a program, I am really, really keen to launch my podcast.
Yay! Podcast!
Don't have a topic for it yet, but I have a few ideas.
And it will come to you.
It might be a mixture of, some for women who travel and women.
Yes.
That will be something, a specific topic. Yes.
I know you've got so many juicy options. You could talk about the insights on their solo trip. You could talk about, where their favorite solo trip location or experience. You got so many good options. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes. And it will be very specific. And I have something in mind because I've seen that many women are interested in this. So I haven't worked on it, but I still in the, how do you say, in the processing. I'm still processing and working on it and seeing if it is something that I really, I can create a podcast about. Yes.
Absolutely. Again, I never thought I'd be doing one. So here we are. Yes.
Wendy.
Oh, wonderful. Well, so I'm going to encourage everybody to check out, again, magic50.com, and then also your Facebook page where they can connect into your Facebook group. And then not only, I hope their takeaway is hearing you stress the importance of getting away by yourself and letting all this these insights come to you, and letting letting the universe and God, whatever you believe in, come into your life and keep helping you open up whatever path you're going to go down next, and then trusting it and taking action forward. So I hope they're hearing from this amazingly beautiful Italian accent, and hopefully they're inspired today. And then hopefully they come and check out your work, and hopefully I get to see you even soon, because I'd love to meet you in person when you come back to the States, or when I get to go to Italy or Australia.
Oh, yes, I'd love to meet you if you come to Venice.
Oh,
yes.
Venezia. Oh,
yes,
I love it.
yes, yes,
I love
yes.
it.
I'm close to Venice, so I'd be really happy to meet you in Italy. I'm also, well, I haven't been to the States for 20 years. Oh gosh.
Oh gosh.
But yes,
wonderful.
maybe
Wonderful.
now it's high time. Yes, I came to visit again. Yes. Would love to.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad that you had not only your second act, but it sounds like your third act and your fourth act. And I really appreciate, Michaela, you sharing all of your insights. So thank you so much for joining. And
thank you so much for having me. It was really a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes. And thanks everybody for listening, and come back and check out Michaela's work, and come check out Inspiring Your Next. So thanks everybody.